What's up? Welcome to our first episode of the World Hard Enduro podcast. In this episode, we'll be looking at the history of the Hard Enduro World Championship, as well as recapping on the 2023 Hard Enduro season. And then, the future, 2024 is here. We've got our first race happening pretty soon and some new races to the calendar that we'll be diving deeper into. Stay tuned.
How exciting. Another new season beginning. But my very first question I want to ask you as our Enduro specialist is when, what, where, how? What is the history of Hard Enduro? How long has it been around? When did it start?
Yeah.
Fill me in a bit, as I don't really know too much.
Yeah, so the Hard Enduro World Championship actually began as the WESS Championship,
Okay.
which stands for World Enduro Super Series in 2018.
Whew. So not too old, actually.
Not too old. It's a relatively new championship. And this series actually began as like a cross-functional enduro racing series. So you had everything from hard enduro to classic enduro. And then it transitioned over the years into the Hard Enduro World Championship by the promoters, which is WESS GmbH. They then started in collaboration with FIM, so it became an FIM recognized championship in 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. I think 2021 was the first year of the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship.
Yeah, and then so focusing more on hard enduro, because you'd see the WESS, you would see riders like Nathan Watson, Joseph Garcia racing races like Enduro GP style races, which they were really good at, obviously. But then they would have to go do Romaniacs and Erzberg.
Yeah. Nathan Watson, his brother was actually, or is currently, a motocross rider, correct? He rides for Beta, if I'm not mistaken. Did Nathan ever ride enduro? I mean, motocross.
I'm not sure if Nathan did motocross or not, but he is quite well known inside the Enduro GP side of things.
Oh, okay, so not hard enduro.
As well as Joseph Garcia. So it was quite a sight to see these guys trying to tackle the heels of Romaniacs. And
I can imagine.
Yeah, like they were definitely out of sorts. And for sure, from the spectator and also from the rider's perspective, that's why I think the split inside the Enduro, like going from WESS to a Hard Enduro World Championships makes so much sense. So you've got this clear divide between the hard enduro guys and then the enduro classical style, like enduro GP style of riding.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that from a motocross background. When we go riding, if you take us on a ride, I favor the more classic enduro side way more. I personally do not gel with hard enduro at all, and I can see from any motocrosser's perspective that it is not something that is easy to adapt to. I don't see where the skills correlate and where you can bring motocross technique into hard enduro, because for me it is just almost impossible, actually.
Yeah, like we actually went for a ride yesterday and you were saying that we very rarely are out of first or second gear, right?
100%. So for motocross riders, like, we're all about adding gas. You know, you've just got to be pinning it. And it's so hard when you're sitting racing to not want to do that, but then to go and ride enduro, and we get stuck on a super techie section like yesterday where it's super wet and you need that low down torque, and it's not just about holding it wide open. I think it's really it's tough to try and go from the one extreme to the other.
Yeah, that's it. But that's why we see people like Manuel Lettenbergner and Billy Bolt doing so well at like Erzberg in the WESS series in 2018, 19, and then not 2020, but in 2018 and 2019, Radek Billy Bolt and Manuel Lettenbergner did really well in the overall because they could do Enduro GP. They could do it, maybe not as fast as, let's say, Joseph Garcia and Nathan Watson, but Nathan Watson and them struggled a lot in Erzberg and Romaniacs with, like, I think maybe not even finishing a couple of those races. So so when they moved across to the Hard Enduro World Championship, it was a really good opportunity for these Hard Enduro guys to really get a good kind of name for themselves, and it's a recognized championship now, a world championship. So when that began in 2021, and I think Billy Bolt took the first win, FIM Hard Enduro World Championship win.
That's correct. In 2021, we had Billy Bolt who won. In 2022 and 2023, it was both Manny that won those 2 years.
Yeah,
And it's obviously relatively new, so we only have, other than the WESS series, that was 2 years, and then now the FIM Hard Enduro Championship, that was 3 years. So this is technically the 4th year of the championship.
2024. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he went unbeaten last year.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
also that's a big topic. 2023 Manuel Letzenbergner having a complete perfect season. So second time winning the championship, first time just in the history of Hard Enduro World Championship. Yeah, Manny takes a complete perfect season, which is unheard of, and what a beast.
Yeah, even from the motocross side, unbeaten seasons are very rare. Very rare.
Do you know if it's happened before?
Yes, in AMA motocross 3 times.
Okay.
Or with 3 riders. But that's in almost 50-year history, I would say.
Okay.
For MXGP, I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then, just pretty much proves like how incredible that season of Manny was last year.
Yeah.
Perfect season.
Yeah, for me, I think that was it the final race in Austria or Germany?
Germany. Yeah.
That
Essen
for me
Rodeo.
was incredible to watch. I mean, the course layout, what the track looked like, the spectators, the viewing points, and just the battle between Billy and Manny. Like, that was so exciting to absorb because, I mean, like, there was such an energy there. It almost reminded me of a stadium supercross race because you just had all the spectators viewing the main course and just 2 guys going head to head.
Yeah, that was awesome scenes. I think something like 10,000 spectators. I think this is what I heard, which is incredible for an enduro race. Like, I mean, enduro is quite difficult to watch as a spectator. So to be able to pull that much crowd and those many people to support a race is so cool. And yeah, also Billy and Manuel helping each other inside the Joker lane, which is also something that you don't really see in other forms of motorsports, really, right?
100%. That is actually a very good point. I mean, like, I had no idea that they were actually such good friends. I would think that they would be mortal enemies.
Yeah.
Like, in motocross, you never ever, I mean, unless maybe like you're down with someone in the first corner and it's a serious crash, do you ever actually help anyone?
Yeah.
Like, let alone the fact that they're head to head and they are going for a championship. Billy's trying to get his first win of the season over Manny.
Yes.
And they end up helping each other. That was really cool to see, the sportsmanship and just the camaraderie between like the riders, which is something you don't see from a motocross side.
Yeah, for sure. And also a little bit of tactics involved there, right? Because they help each other, then for sure they have to battle each other to the end. But they are a while ahead of the rest of the pack, right? So the race ends up just being between them two and not also like Mario. I think Mario was right behind them as well at that time. So yeah, they get to a good idea, or it's a good idea to pull away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, for sure.
So I would like to backtrack just a little bit and ask you, what is hard enduro exactly? Like, I know that you get enduro, you get super enduro, enduro cross, hard enduro. What is hard enduro?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. I think hard enduro is riding your off-road motorcycle or racing your off-road motorcycle over natural terrain. You get some seriously intense uphills and downhills and obstacles that you have to cross throughout your day. Hard enduro takes also different forms. So you got like more of a hard enduro rally, which is a multiple day GPS style racing. So you've got like big days of riding, like in Romaniacs, you got like 120 Ks of riding per day. But then something like KLIM Rodeo, which is a lot different format, which is a short course, multiple laps type of hard enduro race. Yeah, but mostly riders and racers can expect just super gnarly obstacles, where mere mortals like us look at it and just think, yeah, how on earth are people actually getting through this? So, yeah.
Thank you for the clarification, because obviously there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different types of riding and racing, and so yeah, it clarifies things to know exactly what these riders are up against for this championship specifically. With regards to the championship, I read something about there being like no specific classes in the FM Hard Enduro World Championship. How exactly does that work? I know like in Supercross you have like 250s and 450s, but with like this championship you don't have that. Like you have like a championship and then you have the juniors, and that's it. How does that work?
So when you speak about classes, I think you're also referring to classes regarding CC or cubic capacity of your engine, right? Yes. So for a hard enduro, that you basically can ride whatever CC or type of motorcycle that you want. So you can choose a 450 can race against 250s, or 125 can race against a 300 two-stroke. So there's no limitations on what your motorcycle you can actually ride. But yeah, there are classes, as you said, with between junior and senior, or the big championship. I think it's 23 years old that you have to be. I need to clarify that, but you have to be a certain age in order to race inside the junior championship.
I didn't actually know that. I didn't know what the requirements were to move from junior to championship.
I didn't even know that they didn't have classes.
Yeah,
if I'm honest.
Yeah. So
I mean, you just watch for me, like I watch the races, but it's mainly just the guys who are winning, right? They don't really go into
the details of it, right?
Maybe I don't also watch the entire race. But if you're just watching highlights, they're mainly just covering the top guys.
Yeah.
And I never thought about actually like what class are they racing, or how does that work?
Yeah. So the championship is like, they will all be gold or professional riders, right? So when you go into a race like Romaniacs or something like that, where you have like different levels of track or different requirements of track, you'll have a gold, silver, and bronze track.
Brandon, can you explain the points system of the championship and how the points work towards like the championship rankings?
Yeah, for sure. So for 2023 was the first year that they introduced points for prologue qualifying. So the first top three inside prologue get points now for 2023 and now 2024 as well. So first place gets 3 points, second place 2, and then third 1. So it gives an incentive for guys to push for prologues. Sometimes you'd find guys not pushing super hard in prologue because they didn't want to start first and open up the track. So that was a big point, because navigation in a lot of these races is a big thing, right? So you find guys strategically trying to hold back a little bit in prologue, and for strategy reasons, and to not go flat out. So that they introduced that, which is pretty interesting. And then for classes, if you come first, it's 20, and then it goes all the way down to 15th position gets points to 1 point. So first position 20 points, 15th position for 1 point, and then it kind of staggers itself all the way down.
How do they start? Is it one at a time that goes off? Yeah, or is it like a motocross style start with like 6 guys that go at once?
It's different between each race. So like the rally style races, it's one at a time usually. Okay. But then there are some races like Hispania and some other ones that they have rows of riders. So they either do a dead engine start, or hands on your heads type of thing. And then as soon as the flag drops or gun goes or whistle goes, then they just kind of like ride off. Like KLIM Rodeo was a good example of that. So Manny being at the top of the championship, he was on the far inside, so closest to the first corner. And then it started like one next to each other all the way back to the end. So kind of giving that advantage.
Oh.
Let's move into recapping 2023 Hard Enduro World Championship and how, what races we had in 2023, like location-wise, and how the riders did with regards to that, just so that we have a base of, where we've come from in order to understand where we're going in 2024.
Yeah, cool.
So I know that the first race was X-Cross Hard Enduro Rally in Serbia. And as you mentioned before, Manny had a perfect season. So he obviously came first. Mario Roman came second. And Theodor Kabachev came third. Then we headed to Red Bull Erzberg Rodeo with, again, Manny coming first, Billy Bolt coming second, and Tristan Hart coming third.
So Billy Bolt is pretty good at these short style races, and you can see this through the seasons as well. Like, he's just an absolute weapon when it comes to these short, like sprint format races, which is Erzberg, where it's just super technical. It's like feet up riding. So you can see that with Erzberg.
That's actually a really good point, because if I look at the rest of the season, Billy came second at the Red Bull Outliers in Canada, as well as he came third at the Hispania and third at Getson Rodeo. So I guess looking at the stats from last year, that does actually correlate. Let's move to Red Bull Romaniac. So Manny came first, Tristan Hart came second, and Theodor Kabachev came third. Red Bull Outliers, we had Manny first, Billy Bolt second, Tristan Hart third. 24MX Hispania Hard Enduro was Manny, then Mario Roman and Billy Bolt. And then the last round was 24MX Getson Rodeo with Manny coming first, Mario Roman coming second, and Billy Bolt coming third.
Imagine what Manny must have been feeling on that last race.
I mean,
in
you
his home
kind of
country.
see it. You kind of see it in the is it the Red Bull highlights of it?
I think it was Red Bull highlights. Yeah.
You can kind of see like the energy and the emotion. Like, for him, I mean, I can't imagine. But even just from a spectator's point of view, like it looked magical, man. Like, imagine that winning, going undefeated in a world championship in like series in your home. Like, for us, I guess it would be South Africa.
Right.
In front of your home crowd at the final round.
Insane.
That is crazy.
It would be insane. But then also to look back, I know that for the juniors, that race was really important, actually, for Matthew Green and Mitch Brightmore. They were head-to-head for the junior championships at that last race, and Mitch Brightmore took it over Matthew Green. So... yeah, Matthew just got edged out out of his last or his second junior world title.
Oh,
so that was a deciding race for them. They came first and second, I think.
For the championship, that's correct.
Mitch Brightmore in first and Matthew Green in second. But for Getson Rodeo, Matthew Green came second. Yes.
Yes.
So
Maddie.
Yeah,
that's
Maddie.
our boy, eh?
That's
our
man.
boy, Safa.
South African. And for him now, I think he's of age where he can't race juniors. So he can't race the junior class for 2024. So he needs to move up actually to the big boy class.
That's something really interesting, because when I was looking at the championship standings for the championship and the junior championship, I saw Matthew Green's name in both categories.
Cool, because I think you can enter both classes. So you have the ability to enter the big class as well as junior if you're of age for junior. Because the difference between junior and the main class is just the number of races, right? Mm-hmm. So junior class, I think last year had 4 races, if I'm not mistaken.
Junior class had 4 rounds.
4 rounds, right, out of the 7. Yeah, so if you're doing all 7, then you can enter the main class, which I guess he did. Where did he come in the main class last year?
He actually came in 10th in the championship.
Yeah, I actually didn't know he was racing juniors, because I just follow the main class, and I noticed he was in 10th at a couple, or somewhere around there in a couple of the races.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a big one for him. But let's see. What an amazing rider and a lot of prospect for the future, I think.
Romaniacs, hey? That looks like a a tough one. How many days is Romaniacs?
Romaniacs is 5 days in total, 1 day prologue, 4 days outride.
Oh, nice.
So I think we'll be speaking a lot about riders and mentioning a lot of riders' names in this podcast moving forward.
Correct.
And I would like to state a potential challenge that we have and a big request for our listeners. So, to be honest, we don't know how to properly pronounce half of these riders' names because they're a challenge. Yes. So, these athletes, they're doing the most, they're doing the things, and the least that we can do is try to say their names properly. So we have a request, and if you are a rider in the championship standings or junior championship rider, or you are just a spectator who knows how to say their names, please get in contact with us. Our Instagram is at World Hard Enduro. We'll find a way for you to interact with us, maybe send us some voice messages and help us to learn how to say these riders' names properly. Correct. Because I think that would be a really great place to start.
Yeah. Slide into the DM with the voice note. That's a good start.
Please do.
Exactly.
Usually works.
I do have another question about the championship. And that is, I know, for example, in Supercross, you have like a manufacturer's championship. So KTM and Husqvarna, they all kind of compete against each other, right?
Correct.
Do you have the same kind of competition between manufacturers in, the hard enduro scene?
Yeah, so they definitely are competing against each other, teams against teams, brands against brands, but no manufacturers championship.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, there isn't like a title for, KTM or Husqvarna, Sherco, whatever it is. So, yeah.
From a outsider's perspective, it seems like if there were, it definitely would be a Austrian manufacturer that would be winning every year.
Right.
I mean, we were watching Supercross this morning, and there are about 8 different brands in the manufacturer's championship. Is that the same case with hard enduro, or because I only ever see KTM's, Huskies, and Gas?
Yeah, it's a good point. If you're looking at the championship standings and where the riders came, you have KTM, Husqvarna, who are top, as well as Gas. Gas is showing a lot more in the junior championship area. But then we also have Sherco, that's quite high up there with regards to their riders positioning really well in the championship. But as you said, it's not really something that they are focusing on. I guess it's just something that we have picked up on.
Yep.
So can you tell me now, heading into the next season, who are some key riders that we should be looking out for? Like, for example, in the championship class, who are some of the main competitors?
So for 2024, for sure, Manuel Letzenbuchner is on our radar. You can't deny anyone that's just confidently taken a perfect season from, keeping him out of the contention for the next year. But another topic, I think, or another person which we would have here, but unfortunately due to injury and surgery, he won't be at the first few rounds of the championship, is Billy Bolt. So he had an injury, an ACL injury, which he raced the Super Enduro Championship with an ACL injury. And
I remember watching that Husky documentary on his perfect season.
Yes.
So that injury is still now plaguing him at the beginning of the Hard Enduro Championship.
Yeah, so he had a successful surgery on his ACL, but it's going to take several months for it.
Really?
Yeah, for it to heal. So
ACL's not a good one.
Not a good one. So he'll be out the first half of the year, and maybe we'll see him back after Romaniacs. I don't think he would want to come back at Romaniacs for his first one because, long days on the seat, I think.
So, Manny, Billy Bolt. Before we go on to other riders, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is Manny so dominant at hard enduro, and why is Billy so good at super enduro? Surely I mean, they're both beasts. Like, why is one so much better than the other? Because from my perspective, okay, I get that it's completely different, but still like similar techniques in a way. Like,
Yeah.
how is it so different for those two?
It's quite interesting. Like after listening to Billy and Manny speak about this topic, and it's well known between each other, right? As well, that Billy's kind of the super enduro king, and Manuel's just taking over with the hard enduro thing. I think that Billy wants to do better in hard enduro and wants to start taking a step of the podium. But it's a lot more work for him. Manuel, for me, he rides an enduro bike super efficiently. So he just has the ability to get over obstacles, through obstacles without minimal mistake, making minimal mistakes. So he just gets through these obstacles a lot easier than like what Billy does in some sections.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the day with these enduro, it's like, you have to first finish in order to finish first. A nice Graham Jarvis quote I'm sure a lot of us have heard before. So you need to figure out how to preserve your bike and your body to the end. And I think that just Manny does a really good job at that. He's not a really big guy, right? He doesn't look like he has like massive amounts of muscle, and he's not like super tall, but he just manages to maneuver that bike and use the bike in sections and not muscle it, where I think Billy is really good at muscling.
He's got a pretty intense style of just manhandling.
Yeah.
Like absolute, like the things he does. I mean, for sure there's skill.
Yes,
like he
of
is
course.
very skillful, but as well just like maneuvers the bike, manhandles it.
Yeah, it's insane. And I think that's also a lot of the skill that you talk about is a lot from the trials background. So like that clutch control and body positioning, but then adding on that extra strength and muscle. I think that that combination works really well for the super enduro. When you watch the super enduro stuff, there's stuff that he does, and other people are looking at him going, even like his competitors looking at him like, and they're just like, whoa, that is insane.
Do you think that some of it could also have to do with where they grew up and have been riding? Because I mean, where Manny comes from, there's that terrain is pretty perfect for hard enduro, right? But where Billy comes from, maybe he doesn't have access to the same kind of terrain as Manny, and so like he had to, I guess, adapt and learn to ride in a different style, which maybe is more suited to super enduro.
Yeah, it could be that. I'm not too sure about like their history. Like I know obviously for sure Billy's from UK, I think Newcastle, and then Manny's German, so Bavaria area. And I think that for sure, like the southern part of Germany has some really good mountains and that for them to ride. And then inside the UK, it's just a bit more like snotty and wet and slippery. And but I think it also just got down to personal preference from them. I think that Billy just enjoys it better, and Manny does really good inside that other aspect.
Yeah.
So moving back to championship riders, you mentioned Manny and Billy. Who else should we be potentially looking out for this year?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think a big one would be Theodor Kabachiev. I think that he's really come on well in 2022, 2023 hard endurable championships. Like his riding style is really, really good and also quite efficient on the motorcycle. He's got super good technique as well, and he's proved to us inside 2023 that he's got what it takes to get onto the podium. I think that for him, it's going to be quite interesting. Also, just to note that he is on a different team this year as well, and a factory team, which really helps out for him and just the support that he has now for the year.
So, can we move on to another? We've mentioned a couple of riders that you guys are keen to look out for next year.
Does Tristan Hart come into play at all?
Yes, he is flippin' awesome, and also shown us inside last year what he can do on a hard enduro, on his enduro bike. But I think after speaking with Cody Webb on a online Q&A session on his CW2 training platform, which is really good, by the way, if you're looking for any sort of hard enduro training and technique skills, it's super interactive and the community there is really cool. But in a Q&A session with him, he said that it's quite difficult for the Americans or Canadians to come across for the Hard Enduro World Championship. So you may see him at a few races this year, and the championship is traveling to America, so you'll see him there for sure. But for them to complete the AMA Hard Enduro Championship and the Hard Enduro World Championship is quite difficult. So I don't think you'll see people like Cody and Tristan actually competing in the full championship.
Really?
This year. Maybe
Last year, was it the same thing?
Same thing.
Okay.
So you saw them at some races, but not all races.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yep.
To the 2024 Hard Enduro World Championship schedule. So, there are confirmed to be 7 rounds for this year's championship season. It's going to be a combination of tried and tested race locations from previous years, as well as a couple new additions to the calendar. The plan or the aim, I think, of reaching these new locations is to expand the reach of the sport and, just, I guess, grow hard enduro and maybe just enduro in general. Brandon, do you know what the schedule is for 2024?
Yeah, so I think they've published the schedule already.
First one soon, right?
I can assist with the dates of that. So we have first one is going to be Valley's Hard Enduro, Red Bull Erzberg Rodeo, X-Cross Hard Enduro Rally, Red Bull Romaniacs, Red Bull TKO, C2 Sky, 24 MX Hispania Hard Enduro. 7 rounds, 1 championship Hard Enduro.
Sounds good. How many of those are new?
Actually, 2 of those are new. Heading to the United Kingdom as well as Turkey. Those 2 locations will be new to the schedule for this year.
I have a question. Are any of us participating in any of these events?
That is definitely a loaded question.
That is a loaded one.
Brandon?
I don't think you have to say I have a question if you want to ask a question.
But it's okay.
Yes.
Are you going to race Romaniacs this year?
Yeah, so I'll be trying my hand at racing the Red Bull Romaniacs limitless edition for, I think it's the 22nd or 21st race, 21st Red Bull Romaniacs.
Correct.
Wow.
Taking part in the bronze class, which is going to be quite cool, quite interesting, quite tough for sure. I think that roughly 800 kilometers of enduro racing inside 5 days is going to be intense.
I don't get it.
My body's going to be sore, but I'm looking forward to it. I entered silver, but I think wise words from people that have done it before led me down the path for rather attempting bronze on my first attempt. So, yeah.
Wow, that's going to be quite an experience.
Yes.
I think it's going to be good to hear about that, and wish you all the best for that. I think you're going to need it. It sounds brutal. Brutal.
Yes. I'm going to give you some information about these different rounds for this 2024 season. So, round 1, Valley's Hard Enduro. So, racing gets underway early May and will begin, as I mentioned, at Valley's Hard Enduro in the United Kingdom. They are heading to South Wales, and it's going to be in an old coal mine, is the location of this first race.
Is this coal mine, I guess, because I heard that they had a race there already this year?
Correct. They had the Valleys Extreme race. It's the same location, also the same event or race organizers that will be doing the Hard Enduro race. So I think any riders who rode there previously may definitely have a competitive advantage over those who didn't. mainly because it's a first to the championship. It's a new location, so anyone who kind of gets a little bit of extra training and practice is definitely going to have an advantage.
I feel bummed out for Billy that he won't be able to get to that race.
Absolutely.
Hometown boy.
Or close to home. It's definitely going to be wet and snotty there. I have no doubt. And he's probably really adapted to that. So, yeah, it's bummed that he won't be able to make that.
Yeah. Round 2, Red Bull Erzberg Rodeo. So it's less than 3 weeks after the race at Valleys, Hard Enduro. And obviously this race is very well known, and this is the 28th edition of the race.
Wow.
What does that mean, 28th edition? Like
so 28 times.
Okay, so not necessarily 28 years?
Have they ever missed a year?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a loaded question.
That's a good one.
But there have clearly been 28 of these races.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, correct. Then round 3 will be X-Cross Hard Enduro Rally in Serbia. So, although it has only been held twice so far in the championship, apparently it has become a rider favorite. Which I think is interesting because they say it's due to the remote and rugged terrain. Brandon, do you think that remote and rugged terrain would make a race your favorite?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
I think that's why with Hard Enduro, it's pretty cool. The part of it that's so cool is that you get to, it's super adventurous, right?
Yeah.
So, you get to go and visit pretty incredible places on your off-road bike. So I can see how that is enticing. Leads up to being a rider favorite.
So for this particular race, it is a multi-day GPS navigation format. So I think that perfectly ties in to the next round, which is going to be Romaniacs. Because obviously Romaniacs is also going to be a GPS navigation style race. So I guess in a way it kind of gives riders a pre-practice or a pre-test to prepare themselves for Romaniacs with that navigation ability.
Yeah, good point, I think.
Then we have obviously Red Bull Romaniacs, which is a very grueling race and event, you could say. So, Bannon, you've definitely chosen the right one to do.
Yeah, let's see. I'm excited.
Then for round 5, we have Red Bull TKO, which is going back to the United States. So there's going to be a break between Red Bull Romaniacs and TKO. I think it's about 3 weeks. How do you think the riders are going to feel about having a bit of a break between, I guess you could call it the first half of the championship season and then the second half? Do you think that by the time, especially after Romaniacs, that's going to be a much needed break and rest?
I think so. And I guess this is also when we should see Billy joining the championship or rejoining the championship is after this break.
That's a good point. Okay, round 6, Sea to Sky in Turkey. So this, as I mentioned before, it is a new addition to the series. It says it's going to take place over 3 days and begins with a beach race. Riders start with their wheels on the shoreline of the Mediterranean Sea before heading to the finish line at the summit of a nearby mountain called Olympus.
That sounds,
which I guess,
very fun, actually.
Yeah,
sounds really cool.
Definitely sea to
beach.
sky.
Yeah.
How much, do you know how many meters they ascend?
About 2,365 meters above sea level.
Wow, so from sea level 0 all the way to 2,700.
365.
400. Well, good.
Yeah, and then obviously we have the last round, which will be round 7, 24 MX Hispania Hard Enduro in Spain, and it will bring the championship to a close. It's a 3-day format. It says it offers a wide variety of racing, from the opening day being a super enduro, and then some multi-lab hard enduro main event in a nearby quarry.
Well, that's interesting. It's quite interesting to me that Getson Rodeo hasn't joined the calendar for 2024.
Yeah, that's correct.
But Hispania does look like a really cool race.
So in total there are
7 rounds.
7. And you said juniors last year raced at 4.
Yes.
Is it
Correct.
the same this year?
That is a good question. I'm actually...
It will be the same, yep.
And we spoke about women.
Yes.
Do women partake in those same 4 rounds?
So women, it's a little different with women. So last year, so in 2023, the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship started a new initiative with Gas. Well, it was basically like supported by Gas. They introduced this initiative called the Women's Hard Enduro Performance Award. And so basically what it was is to try and to grow the sport and women in the sport, but also to promote like diversity and inclusion in obviously what is seen as a traditionally male dominated sport. So last year they started this initiative where they basically award a trophy to a woman at each round of the Hard Enduro Championship. So last year there were 6 awards given to women in, you know, the scene of Hard Enduro.
Wow. So women racing hard enduro is already pretty mind-boggling for me.
Yes.
Do we see any double winners?
Correct. Actually, we do. Sandra Gomez was a double winner. She took the trophy at round 2, Red Bull Erzberg Rodeo, as well as the Getson race, but it wasn't for the race, the Getson race. It was, she got the trophy for her performance in the Getson race qualifier.
Okay, cool. And also fun fact that Sandra Gomez is actually the sister of Alfredo Gomez, which we see.
Really?
Is it? I actually saw her name, but I wasn't. I mean, obviously the name is very familiar, but I was like, what are the chances?
What are the chances?
Yeah, pretty high.
Well,
So it runs in the family.
that makes sense.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that it's really, really cool to see how FIM and GACAS are working together to promote women in the sport. I mean, I don't think that there's been a lot of recognition or like focus on that in previous years. And so I think that's a really cool initiative that they started last year. It seemed really successful and they'll be doing it again this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if the same women riders are going to be, you know, given these awards this year, or if it has actually promoted more women riders participating in these events. Yeah, I'm excited to see, you know, what 2024 brings with regards to females in this field, really.
Yeah, I think hats off to them for creating that platform. And as well, I guess with like MXGP, there's a huge platform for women, and there's a women's championship, something that I think has been missing in the US for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to see that it's getting so much bigger and bigger each year. And now to even have it in hard enduro, I think it's pretty inspiring and pretty cool for the women.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. I would also like to speak a little bit about the juniors and mention this initiative between FIM and, is it KLIM? KLIM?
Yeah, climb.
KLIM.
Yeah.
Their KLIM Junior camp for 2024 that's supporting the junior riders in the world, like into the championship. So
How does that work?
so the aim was, so this year, well, last year actually, I wonder if it was last year. Yeah, it was established in 2023 by the FM Hard Enduro World Championship promoters, which is WESS GmbH. The junior camp is intended to develop and grow the next generation of hard enduro racers as they take their first steps into the FM Hard Enduro Junior World Championship. So I think that they have a camp that starts about 4 weeks before the opening round of the championship, and they have Paul Bolton as their expert and guide. They have a couple online video calls or briefings before, and then they have, I think it's a 2-day on-site training with Paul Bolton in the at Valley's Hard Enduro. So I think at the same location that the race will be at, he will kind of train them and give them some like tips and tricks. I think they also spoke about not only training and preparing them for racing and riding, but also about like how they as athletes can work well with sponsors and media. So it seems like a pretty comprehensive training that they plan to give them to help support these younger riders, because yeah, I mean they're new to not only potentially like the championship itself, but also just like this whole world of media.
Yeah. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that
Like you kind of need that side covered nowadays, right?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
You have to.
Absolutely.
And you're so young, like I mean, you need someone to guide you and steer you. I think that's so cool for like the up and coming stars of the sport, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that as a sponsor, I'm sure that's what you want out of a rider, right? Not only for them to do well, but also for them to be able to establish your brand and
Correct.
yeah, be a good face for your brand. So super cool initiative there. Paul Bolton, yeah, he seems like such a legend. And I think that is really cool to see. Hopefully, we can see some of these riders in the bigger class in coming years to come.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't know which riders have participated in this camp so far, but it'll be interesting to see who has participated and how they're going to do in this year's junior championship, to see if it has really kind of helped them out. And I think also because they are helping them before Valley's Hard Enduro is going to be really helpful, because for everyone it's a new track, right? For everyone it's going to be a new experience. So what better round to get a little bit of expert help and guidance on than the first round?
Yeah. Do you have the junior championship rounds?
For 2024?
For 2024.
I do. It's actually only going to take place over 5 rounds for 2024.
So one extra.
One extra.
One extra from last year, but still 2 down from the championship.
Okay.
So we have Valley's Hard Enduro, Red Bull Erzberg Rodeo, X-Cross Hard Enduro Rally, Red Bull Romaniacs, and 24MX Hispania Hard Enduro. So those are the 5 rounds for the junior championship for this year.
Do you know if Red Bull Romaniacs is confirmed? Because I saw somewhere recently that it's TBD.
It is confirmed. It is confirmed. It wasn't confirmed, but now it has been confirmed.
Wow. What a race.
What a race.
What a race to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very interesting and exciting year, I think.
Is it still Red Bull Romaniacs?
Correct. It is Red Bull Romaniacs, but I know that there's been some news recently about how Liet is going to be, I think they're going to be broadcasting the Red Bull Romaniacs event. So I think it's still Red Bull Romaniacs, but then the broadcasting side is called Liet Live Maniacs, if I'm not mistaken. And the goal is for them to have like better coverage of the race itself, to get in there, proper spectator points, proper like viewing locations of the riders. I don't think they're going to be focusing on everyone. I think the focus is just really the gold riders or the gold class for Romaniacs. But yeah, this is something that has been some information that's been released recently. So it'll be interesting to see what information comes out closer to the time, and kind of what we can what information we can get and share with the listeners about this in the future.
Yeah, cool. I'm interested to see, and I hope that they can do a good job with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We all want to see, good coverage.
Yeah.
Bring more exposure to the sport of hard enduro.
Yes. I would say that this brings our first episode on the World Hard Enduro podcast to an end. We'd like to thank the listeners for listening and making it to the end. Our next episode, we are going to speak a little bit more about the riders in this next year, this 2024, as well as any kind of team changes, anything that we should be mindful of, and focus more on the Valley's Hard Enduro.
Nice.
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, it's been fun. I look forward to the next episode.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to providing you some more content next time. And don't forget to
Add gas. Don't forget to
Add
add gas.